مَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ. I have not created mankind and jinn except to worship me. And keep in mind, my younger brothers and sisters, fasting and prayers are only a minute part of the worshiping of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Having a halal job is worship. Treating your family with the best akhlaq is worship. There are many things other than fasting and prayer that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala considers as worship. So when he says, I created mankind and jinn to worship me, it doesn't, he could have said, I created mankind and jinn to pray to me or fast. It's more than that. Worshiping is a very comprehensive topic. You've heard having a halal job is worship, and getting married is a form of worship. There's many things that Ahlul Bayt have mentioned that are acts of worship. So, first and foremost, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us to worship Him. Period. End of story. Another reason, another of our purpose, in addition to that, that I've mentioned, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ الْعَمَلَ. He who created life and death so that He may try which of you is best indeed. As I mentioned, that's why we're in a competition. We're in a competition. It's amazing how when we're out on a soccer field, that competitive spirit is manifest at a high level. Or we're in a classroom, I gotta become the valedictorian or the president of the school or have the highest GPA. That competitive spirit is aroused. But guess what? First and foremost, that competitive spirit should be aroused in Islam. Allah says, hasten or race in goodness. He says, I have not created life and death except to see which of you, to try to see which of you is in best indeed. So, for example, just to kind of elaborate a bit, when we go through these trials and tribulations, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to see who's going to deal with them in certain manners. When we go through difficulty, do we abandon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or do we seek help through patience and prayer? Do we start blaspheming? Do we, as they say, abandon the deen? Become an apostate? Or do we stand firm? And remember that the goal is not to be successful in this life. Being successful in this life doesn't mean that you won't be successful in the next life either, but that should not be the goal. Amir al-Mu'mineen has mentioned in Najib Balagha alayhi salam that this life has a big benefit. He's described this dunya in many ways. In Najib Balagha, it's mentioned that this life is like sweet and green, but surrounded by, lust and all this other stuff. He's mentioned that this life is like a serpent. It has flashy colors and soft to the touch, but inside it's so full of venom. He's given many analogies of this dunya and how it can deceive us and trap us and ensnare us, right? But this dunya has its benefit because, let me ask you this. By a show of hands, who would like to live in the neighborhood of Ahlul Bayt in the Akhirah? Okay, that's kind of like a no-brainer, right? Where do you achieve that status? Where do you achieve that status at?
Here. In this world.
Here. If you want to live near Ahlul Bayt, you work for that here. It's not on the day of judgment. We go in like a lottery, like, okay, what neighborhood? Hey, 3, 2, yeah, I'm going to... No. This is reality. The position that we have in the Jannat, or the position that we have in the Jahannam, na'udhu billah, both of these possible results are achieved here. So what does that tell you? Now you may have a better understanding of, wow, I was neglecting my next life. I was neglecting the fact that I was created to live forever. I would deceive someone, Malcolm X. You've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, right? Those of you who know Malcolm X. You've been fooled by the shaitan to deceive you and make you think, listen, you got to give everything you get before you die. Because if you don't, that's it. Allah says in the Quran about those who think it's just life and death and that's it. Get what you can get here and forget about it. This is not reality, my dear brothers and sisters. And part of the plight that we're enduring today is because people aren't living for the akhirah. They're living for the dunya. Hubb ad-dunya. Hubb ad-dunya is the root of most of the sins. So, as I began with, it maybe took some time, or maybe you got it quickly, to understand that if we don't understand that our life has 3 dimensions, and we have to deal with and understand each part of our lives, to be able to function properly, to be able to prepare properly, to not cut ourselves short. Especially our young youth, we have to, especially as adults, we have an obligation. It's not the one who's sitting in this chair or standing behind here or preparing the book of Masail. It's not these individual responsibility as the first teacher of the children. And to let them know early on the basic realities of life. You don't have to have a high intellectual capacity to understand that we have 3 phases of life. And to teach our children that we have 3 phases of life. And even if they can't grasp it, we as guardians of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's trust, our children are entrusted to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Verily we come from Allah and to Allah we return. Meaning that our children are entrusted to us. We can do dhulm on our children, or we can display adab with our children. And teach them early on about life. Son, when they say, Umi, I want to be this. Say, but you don't want to be like this? Umi, I want to live in a neighborhood like that. You don't want to live in a neighborhood like this? Kids can grasp if you paint pictures for them with the words. So they get these realities early on, whereas you and I kind of get things later on in life. So this is a reality that we have to handle. Because a lot of our children, for example, you see it, they would rather, when they play, kids want to play basketball, they want to play soccer, they want to do things that in reality they're thinking that I can be successful at it. I like basketball, I have a good jump shot, maybe in my life, my ceiling is I can be a professional basketball player. Or maybe in life they're thinking my ceiling is I can be like the best soccer player. When actually that is not their ceiling. We have unlimited potential. But we have to understand too that we're in a competition. We're in a competition. And we have to arouse what is our innate nature, that spirit of competitive. Well, you know what? I understand that a lot of the Muslims are removing the veil for this and that unvalid reason. But guess what? I'm not, because I'm trying to get to the finish line. I'm trying to finish the race. Whether I finish it fast or slow, I'm trying to finish. I'm trying to complete this journey, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, also, we have to understand about sacrificing. Because when we think about the reality of our goals in life, and let me explain this, I don't want to leave this out. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
When you make your dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you reveal your ideology. Are your dua concerning dunya or your dua concerning akhirah? That tells the whole story. On Laylatul Qadr, you're doing 100 rakat. Are you asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, I want that car I always wanted. Oh Allah, I want you to help me with this exam that's going to be coming up after the month of... Oh Allah, I want these dunya type of things. Is this what is happening? Or Ya Allah, I want the highest levels of Jannah. Oh Allah, I want to be with Ahlul Bayt, all these other... Oh Allah, I want to be near you. Understand that there's 3 types of worshippers in general. The businessman, right? The slave, and the free person. The business person worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like a deal. I'll obey you and do what is wajib, but you got to give me what I want. Right? This is the businessman. Then there's the slave. I'm going to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because I'm scared of the Jahannam. Right? That's the slave. I'm scared of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wrath, and I'm going to worship on account of that. But the free one, the best worship is worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala simply because He's deserving of it. Amir al-Mu'mineen had mentioned that if there was no threat of hellfire or promise of Jannah, he would still worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the same high level because He deserves it. And one of the gifts, of the uncountable gifts that He's given us is life. He could have created us a rock. He could have created us a plant. He could have created us a monkey or any other of the animal species or the flora species. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us a human existence. He gave us this life that we have. Either we use it properly by understanding it, or either we use it improperly for whatever reason. And this is a serious matter, because we are making very, very detailed plans. And we are putting forth every effort to achieve our goal, but the goal is a short-term goal as opposed to the life-term goal. If we apply the same tenacity and input and determination to get the highest levels of Jannah that we do to get a success here, can you imagine? Imam Zaman, Ajadallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, would be here already. Because that's what he's waiting for. Those type of individuals. Those type of individuals. He's waiting for followers like Imam Hussein's followers. But in closing, I would like to give you a couple of narrations. Because one of the things that happens in our life, which is kind of plaguing the ummah, is that we're making all types of excuses, lame excuses, of why we will abandon this part of the deen or that part of the deen to advance our worldly position. Well, if I take off my veil, I can get more clientele at my job. If I shave my beard off, I can probably get a more management position because, they require you have to, all of it, whatever it is. I offer all my prayers in Qadar, but right now, my job, the payment is good, I can provide a really nice house and car, I'll sacrifice. We're making all sorts of sacrifices, and worse than that, we're trying to find ways to condone these sacrifices with lame excuses. Allah knows my heart. He knows my intentions. And other types of stuff like this, which is void. Amir al-Mu'mineen kind of clarified that. He said, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam called, لا يترك الناس شيئا من أمر دينهم لإستصلاح دنياهم إلا فتح الله عليهم ما هو الأدر منه. He said, the people do not leave off any matter of their affairs seeking to improve their dunya, except that Allah opens upon them something that is more harmful than that. So whatever it was that you were sacrificing your religion for, that kind of makes you anxious, Allah is going to make you have to deal with something worse than that. I don't know if you're familiar with, in hunting, there's a thing where they'll say, pull, and the thing will shoot up and you shoot out the sky. Amir al-Mu'mineen kind of shot down all those garbage excuses that people come up with. Pull, it shoots up the lame excuse, Amir al-Mu'mineen just shot that down. There is no reason whatsoever that you sacrifice any aspect of this deen unless your life is threatened with taqiyya. That's it. And we're not going through that here. I stopped praying because my boss doesn't like it. Where's the harm? Where's my life in danger for that? I take my veil off to get more clientele. Where's the danger in that? So understand that we're being plagued with lame excuses. And I'm, maybe not here per se, but I'm just talking in general. So we have to realize, our length of life. Because all of these excuses are for what? To advance our first phase of life. Neglecting our second phase of life. Sacrificing to get a high position, make their height of life here successful, as opposed to preparing to make their real height of life, the highest levels of Jannah, come into reality. Neglecting the fact that our achievements in the Jannah are earned here. So we're just thinking about financial earnings as opposed to earning our spiritual position in the Akhirah. Also, Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam called
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
المؤمن من وقى دينه بدنياه والفاجر من وقى دنياه بالدين. He said the believer is he who protects or guards his religion, putting the dunya in harm's way. And the fajr, the corrupt or the shameless or the lewd, there's a lot of descriptions. This individual will protect their dunya, putting their religion in harm's way. This is exactly what we're going through in the community right now. I'm not talking about the Shia, I'm talking about in general the Islamic community. More times than not, we're trying to protect, especially here in America. I'm an American, I know what's going on in America, especially here. You know, we don't want to, for example, let me give you an example so we can relate to, I go apply for a job, right? I go apply for a job, the boss lays out the criteria for the job, and I tell him, well, sir, you mentioned that lunch break is like, an hour. That's great, hour lunch, right? But it's like, 11 to 12. I'm Muslim, and my prayer comes in at like 1:30, and after that, is there any way that I can kind of, work on that? If this individual is like, no, who still takes that job? According to Ahlul Bayt, a mu'min or a mu'mina would not take that job. They're not going to sacrifice their deen for nothing in this world. All this job can do is get you a house in a gated community, it can get you a nice bank account, but it cannot get you the high levels of Jannah that you really want. The mu'min and the mu'mina have this philosophy. Someone else will say, well, I can make qada, I'll take it. Na'udhu. So we have to be mindful and understand what this precious gift of life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, understanding your purpose here, understanding, the goal here, the real aim, and keep in mind that being successful here can, get you in the Jannah as well. So it's not about what you choose to do, it's while you do it, are you sacrificing? For example, I want to be an architect, right? And it takes a lot of effort, so my sleep is short. I do my studies and what have you and all this other stuff, and basically my sleep, I only get 4 hours of sleep at night, So the reality is, so if you only get 4 hours of sleep at night, then just make it 3. Make it an odd number. Still take an hour to study or recite Quran, or half an hour. You see what I'm saying? You got to realize this. How long do we really think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Fajr takes what? In our time, what? 5 minutes, if that. Dhuhr, what? 10 minutes? I'm kind of stretching 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So if we add up all the 5 prayers, what is that? What, less than an hour? Less than an hour for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? Out of 24? So whatever it is that we're going through, a lot of our goals in life have a lot of our careers that take a lot of endeavor and a lot of hard work. What we need to do is just do it and not neglect anything else. If you stayed up all night already reading your medical books, just before you close your eyes, just take 15 more minutes and go into a hadith book or the Quran. The same time it takes you go to the restroom, sometimes you can be there for a while, it's shorter off for prayer. So we can still do whatever it is we want to do in life without sacrificing. That's the point I'm trying to make. We can do whatever it is that we want to do in life, whether it's, I want to be a farmer, I like that, or whether you want to be, brain surgeon. We can do these things without sacrificing our akhirah. In fact, these things should be used in the cause of Allah. But here's the newsflash, and we're going to end on this, is that this is a misconception people have too. You cannot propagate Islam in an un-Islamic fashion. So a lot of times we'll tell people that we're Muslim and be proud of that, they see us behave un-Islamically, and we're trying to do dawah with that. What we do is we invite people to Islam wrong in the first place. So we have to understand that whatever it is, if you want to, use your medical skills for the sake of Allah, if you want to use your architectural skills for the sake of Allah, if you want to use all of these things that we have that are good in general for the sake of Allah, then you have to do it for the sake of Allah the whole way through is the point I'm getting. Going through all the hard times, don't neglect your prayer, don't neglect your fasting, and all these type of things. I mentioned in Jumu'ah is that there are athletes. I'm not into sports, but there are athletes who, for example, who are going through the NBA Finals, right? That's big, NBA, right? NBA Finals were Muslim, right? And they still fasted the month of Ramadan. They would have their trainers get up early, give them IVs, give them all types of fluid because there was no way possible that they were not going to fulfill their religious obligation. There's a few Muslim football players like that who are playing games during the month of Ramadan, right? We don't want to move during the month of Ramadan. We want to sit in the shade and right? They're playing games, sweating and exerting energy, not neglecting. And I'm not trying to praise the sport. I'm just trying to praise the thinking of these individuals that nothing in the world is going to have them sacrifice their deen. That's the point I'm trying to get across. So don't think that condemning any type of having wealth. It's not that. It's nothing we do should sacrifice our next life. Inshallah, that's clear. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the blessings and tawfiq to be on the right path. We ask Him for the wisdom to understand His guidance. We ask Him to hasten the reappearance of our Imam and make us help Him when He comes. And we ask Him to make us true followers of Ahlul Bayt. May peace be upon Him in both word and deed. Allahumma salli
ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Can you share me some mic?
You can, yeah.
I want to make a point, and maybe you can expound on that. And I'm going to paraphrase because I'm not an alim and I don't remember the hadith of Imam Ali. But there is a saying by him, paraphrasing, that poverty is a curse. So your point is well taken, that in this world, it should not be all about religion, and if you are because if you are poor, you will not be able to practice your religion in the true form of words. Because if you don't have food, you may do things which are un-Islamic to get that food and to fulfill the requirements for your children. So your point is well taken that we have to strive in this world to come to a certain level of education and success to be able to actually fulfill the requirements of Islam.
There are a lot of narrations about poverty. One that says it's a curse, others that say it's a blessing. There's one narration, I don't have it verbatim, inshallah, I try to make a printout where Rasulullah was mentioning that spiritual poverty. If you notice that most of the Anbiya, if not all of them, were inclined to hardships. We know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala controls the provision. There are actually a dua, many of you are aware of, where Rasulullah said, "Oh Allah, make my followers and the followers of my Ahlul Bayt, give them only what they need, and make the enemies of